Okay. Good as gonna get. Here we go.
Okay.
Ta-da!
Hello.
Hello.
Finding the first question.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the Sun Dragon Sideshow
The Dear Becky and Lizzie edition.
of the Adventures of Liz and
Yes.
Rebecca. And, yes, for anyone who was concerned, we didn't see you yesterday. What happened? Are you okay? I'm just noticing there's a bald head behind me. I can't remember what was supposed to be there. So, I think it's the hat I took home. Never mind. First of all, we'll explain. Hi, I'm Rebecca. I forgot to change my sweater to give you a third sweater this week. I am the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber, and trying to be sunny but probably not super warm, Brevard, North Carolina.
I'm Liz. I'm the minion there.
I was going to change so you got to see something different, but I got in late and we need to film and then we need to start the day, and it's probably going to be a kicker of a day. So, yes, for everyone, shout out to Barbara, who was concerned they didn't see us yesterday. You see, what happened was, I finally got to the dentist. I think I told you all last week I had like a piece of my tooth missing, Finally got to, but it didn't hurt, so we put it off. Finally got to the dentist on Wednesday afternoon. And they said, yeah, you at least need a filling, because a filling fell out probably, and there might have been decay behind it. Maybe a root canal and a crown. We have an unexpected opening tomorrow morning. You want to come in and get the filling done? And I said, yes, please. Let's just get it done and find out how bad it will be and how much money I don't have anymore. And so when we normally film on Thursday, I was at the dentist with my mouth propped open and the Novocaine and the things and the stuff and the and good news is, pretty sure I don't need a root canal. My tooth is full, and if it had gotten done fast enough, we could have done a filming with me with Novocaine on half my face, and that was really funny to see and watch.
It was really funny.
It was like, okay, little puffy here, but more, little bit Bell's palsy, like paralysis, but more like when I tried to smile, this side definitely didn't go up as high as this side. And it was almost like this part tried to pull over too. So it was like everything, I was a little jokery, like, rah, or Two-Face, or both of them. By mid-afternoon, I felt normal again. Kind of.
It was hilarious watching her eat dinner or
I was
lunch. She was like, I feel like there's nothing there. And
I felt like my food should be falling outside my face. It was, it was. So, but all that means that we didn't have time to film, and it was a crazy day. It wasn't a super busy day, but it was a crazy day. And you're starting another sweater?
No, I'm gonna do gauntlet hand warmer. I'm cold.
We spend a lot of our day outside, and so people think when they come up to the shop that the shop is closed because we're outside. It's like, no, we just spend a lot of time outside, because once the day gets going, we don't go without masks in the shop. And while we breathe fine in the masks, we just prefer breathing fresh air instead of who knows what is in here, even through the mask.
And we've kind of acclimatized to being outside. Like,
mostly.
Because we're outside all the time, we, throw an extra layer on for tomorrow, and, Yeah. So, yesterday, people were like, you're sitting outside, what? And I'm like, it's warmed up from this morning when I walked up from the car, and it was 32. So, yeah.
Anyway, and the new setup, we're trying my little weird tripod for the camera, for the phone, which means a lot of tinkering, and it's not quite. It's hard to have a firm, good angle with the phone. I forgot to clean off the lens again today, so hopefully we're still in focus and everything. I really should be cleaning the lens off on my phone every day, and setting up just right, and plugging all the microphones in, and it's a thing.
Yeah.
And I had to take trash to the dump today, so I got in late. Adulting. It's bogus.
So bogus.
So bogus. All right, but we didn't want to leave you high and dry without a third episode this week and doing our Dear Becky and Lizzie. So, because we weren't able to do a real Dear Becky and Lizzie last week because it was Thanksgiving, so without further ado, what we got?
So, we have a cable question.
Oh, I don't remember any of these questions anymore.
We
you
talked
sent them
about
to me.
this, and I was like, did we already, like, we talked about it outside of filming, so, but then my brain is playing tricks on me, like, did we actually talk about it? No, we have not talked about it.
We can talk about it again. It's okay.
Yeah. I just watched my first Sun Dragon Sideshow, and I love it. My question is regarding cables when knitting a neck down sweater. Because you are basically knitting upside down. Does that mean cables will be upside down? I would love to think most simple twist cables would just have to be worked in the opposite lean. But what about cables with a specific shape, like a heart cable? Would a heart cable be flipped upside down and look more like a spade? Can it be fixed? Thank you for your help.
Okay, so I'm going to test my theory right now. I mean, I could just pull out one of my cable things and test it. Here's the mind bender on upside down cables. Like, you're right. If you start here and go down, you are working in the opposite direction. Like, this is not cables, but I just started my gnome cup warmers, because of course I did. And, like, holding them like this, the hat is down here and the gnome is going to be here, but then when you put it on the cup cozy, it'll be the other way around. So you are doing it upside down. Here's the thing. So I'm going to draw a cable. Way to fill isn't okay. She didn't know she had to fill. The one time that I actually do pause and you're like, huh? I almost pause and should fill in stuff other times. Anyway, so I have drawn what to me, and when I flip everything on camera, will be a left-leaning cable. And actually, wait, let me do it. So let me see if I can find a Sharpie so y'all can see this really well. So a left-leaning cable. Left-leaning cable. So leans this direction, right? Right side up. When I flip it upside down, it is still a left-leaning cable.
Good to know.
This is the mind bender. Like, so if you have to do it upside down, you don't have to change anything for a simple cable. Because again, right side up, it leans this way, right? And if I turn it around upside down, it still leans this way. I've done things like this where I'm like, well, this is going to be backwards. No. When it's just a simple twist like this. And so if I do more of these, and I'm doing this really, it's going to look weird, but, you know. So this doesn't look like your classic cable looks. I'm just trying to make like all the crosses are going this direction, right? And if I turn it upside down, so if I had done this the other way and then I put my sweater on, they're still all leaning this way. So a basic cable, just a simple twist, or a braid, you might end up with, let's see, if you have a braid where it's pointing down, when you turn that around, it will point up. It won't look like the braid coming down from your hair. That will flip. But just a basic twist will be fine.
So, like with a heart, you would need to invert the pattern.
You would take, like, if you have a chart for a heart cable, like that's what we talked about off camera. You wanna just flip the chart, turn it upside down, and renumber the rows. So if it started with the bottom of the heart and it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you want to flip the chart around, and at the bottom, so it is more like a spade. You're absolutely right, but you want to do the chart from the bottom. Like most charts are done from the bottom up, so you want to flip it around so it looks like a spade, and then renumber your rows. Do it from the bottom up. So I will only show you this chart in that I don't think anyone's going to try to copy it off of our screen. But the gnome this is the gnome coffee cup things, and see how the gnome has the bulb at the bottom and the hat at the top. The chart is upside down. So the hat's at the bottom and the bulb, like bottom of the gnome, is at the top. And so that's the very thing I would do if you have a cable chart from a book that shows you how to do a heart or something fancy. Turn it upside down and renumber the rows. It like if your brain can't process the, well, I wanted to go this way, just physically flip it. Like even take a photo of it, photocopy of it, flip it around and renumber the rows to help your brain out. Because it's like with this one, again, it's color work, but where there's red, I'm doing a lighter color, and where there's white, I'm doing navy. And so my brain has to keep like adjusting for that. So the other thing I could do is remake this chart and color code it for a way that would make my brain hurt less. So I think that's an excellent question, because we get to point out that with basic cables, you don't need to change anything, which I think is a kind of an awesome thing about cables. Upside down or right side up, believe it or not, they will lean in the same direction. Like turning a cable upside down, a simple twist cable does not change the look of it. And if you're doing something on a sweater where you want one cable to lean one direction and one cable to lean the other, as long as you're doing the opposite, they will do the opposite. Whether you're doing it top down or bottom up, they will be the opposite of each other if you keep track of your left leaning and right leaning. And it may help to know that no matter what, they're going to lean in the same direction, right side up or upside down.
That is good to know.
Isn't that cool?
How my cable questions always involved cabling Fair Isle.
Well, she just wants to make things complicated. So
before I started knitting, it was a question. It was a valid question. Can you? And now it's just a fun, silly question.
Let's clarify. She asked, "Can you Fair Isle cables?" And my answer was yes, but why? And yeah, that could look really cool, but it's just more work than I want to do. So, and you might lose some of the color work because it's all in the twisties and the. Okay, what else we got?
It was just, that one is not.
See, I copy her on like all emails I send to all customers at this point. So she's got to wade through a little bit. I just want someone else.
Some
to
of them
copy.
I flag, like I try and flag particular ones, and this one, this one was a question about using the what was the sweater pattern on the wizard page, and I think you already responded.
I responded to that.
And yes,
and purchases have been made, and yeah.
Yeah. So I will go to the next question, which involves blocking. Dear Becky and Liz, when wet blocking, what kind of detergent should I use? People have told me Dawn, but I worry about the blue coloring. I have also seen to use baby shampoo on the web. Others have just said wash in plain cold water. Thank you.
Okay. So first of all, for anyone watching who does not know what wet blocking is, I have a lovely video over on my Tips and Tricks channel. Wet blocking, there's many different ways to block. My favorite way to block, which to back up another step, blocking is what you, like the first washing of a garment can help set stitches in place and regulate and help things look nicer and sometimes shape things up. It can't make things smaller necessarily, but it can make things bigger if they need to be, stuff like that. So it's your chance to settle your stitches into place and make it look a little nicer. It's not a guaranteed fix-all of everything. But it's the idea that the first time you wash a garment, like you have a chance to, like the stitches may settle a little bit more. And after that, it's not that you have to block things every time you wash something. Like that first, it's like the first cut of a sheep or an alpaca. There's a difference. Yeah. In theory. How much I've tested that, I don't know. But this is what the books tell me, So this is what I do. You sound like you were going to say something. Was there...
Like, things that you want to settle, like lace work,
open up the pattern. Yeah.
Color work, it helps everything kind of settle into place with, like, the Fair Isles and, certain things.
It can help regulate your stitches. It doesn't always.
Yes.
It's not like all your stitches are magically going to be perfect after you block.
Yes.
But, so, wet blocking is where you soak your garment in a basin of water or your sink or, some volume of water, and you let it really permeate all the fibers. Especially works well for wool. And then you gently get as much water out as you can, but like a towel, the spin cycle only of your washer, that kind of stuff. So the fibers are still damp and once they're saturated, they don't have to be soaking wet when you lay it out and shape it and let it dry. If you don't get a lot of water out of it, it will take days to dry. If you like spin it out in your washing machine or something, if you're able to, it can dry overnight, which is wonderful. That people think, well, there's not enough water in it, it's going to mess it all up. No, as long as they have been soaked, this will work. My go-to, because I have a top-loading washer, old washer, is even with 100% wool, because the felting thing everyone's worried about is heat, agitation, and a little bit of soap, right?
A little bit of soap.
I've done it even without the soap, but it probably works better with the soap. But that's what can happen if you wash it, like heat and agitation. The spin cycle it's like centrifugal forces. It just flattens it against the outside of your washer and sucks the water out. There's no agitation going on of the washing machine, right? So it's not even 100% wool that's not supposed to go in the washing machine on the label, like what they'll say, the hand wash only. You can put in your washing machine on spin only.
It's like a glorified giant salad spinner, which
Yes.
a lot of people put their
Shawls and smaller things in,
smaller
right?
things into,
So, so that's stuff around blocking. This question specifically addresses detergent. So, I wouldn't use Dawn, personally. I don't know about you, but like,
I wouldn't use,
I feel like Dawn is too much of a cleaner.
Yeah, I wouldn't use anything that needs to be rinsed, because then you're adding another layer
of hopefully getting it out.
Yeah, because if you just block in water or block in like Euclid, a wool wash that doesn't have to be rinsed.
Like we're partial to this because we sell it.
Yeah.
But there are several. There's Euclid. There's Soak. There are a few others that are specifically designed for hand knits, and they don't need to be rinsed out. Yeah. Like you'll talk to people who are like, but of course I'm going to rinse it out, and that's fine. If you want to rinse it out, go for it. But then it's okay if there's still stuff in there. Like when I think of Dawn, I think and honestly any regular machine detergent, even Woolite.
Yeah.
Those are strong cleaners. Whereas washing it in something that's going to clean it, yes, that's good. But harsh chemicals, like really harsh chemical, like Dawn, I will use as a fail. If I have a stain in something, I will douse that with Dawn. Like regular things I'm putting in the washing machine. That's my go-all for removing stains and things like that. I wouldn't want to think about what it's probably going to do to any natural things in your fibers that you want to hang on to in your hand knits over time.
If you have a sweater that has some lanolin in it and you want to keep the lanolin in it.
And that's sheep sweat, by the way. That's stuff sheep produce that helps it be waterproof and all kinds of things. Yeah.
Dawn will strip that. Mm-hmm. They use Dawn to strip the oil off of birds after an oil spill. Mm-hmm. So Dawn strips.
Dawn is a wonderful cleaner, but that's not necessarily why you're putting this, like you're washing it with some kind of detergent. Yeah. I mean, detergent by itself kind of screams cleaning. But you want one that's going to help take care of your knit items. And I just, before we go to the baby shampoo thing, which I'm not as well versed on, like I have hand knit socks that I am lazy and I just throw them in with the wash with the Tide, and the color has not held over time. And that's probably because like all of the fun things and the dyes and stuff in that yarn has been stripped out by the tide. Like, it's my own fault that the color hasn't held up. It's not the fault of the dyers. It's not like it was bad yarn or dyed improperly or anything. It's that I'm using a harsh chemical to wash my hand knit socks. And I just, honestly, I'm too lazy to hand wash them. If I hand wash them, they would last longer and the color would be more vibrant. If I wash them in, with the soak or the Euclid, and the Euclid, like that, a little bit of that stuff lasts a really long time, and it's awesome stuff. And
it's like a teaspoon per gallon of water.
Yeah, it's like I would put just a little bloop in if I was going to be using it in blocking, that kind of stuff. Honestly, when I block, I just use water. So I'm not really washing it. I really am just soaking the fibers for the purpose of shaping it.
I just had an apostrophe, like when you're first blocking it, it's really not dirty. I mean, or it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
It can be with like pet hair or what, that could get into your knitting, but like unless you're dipping your hands in dirt before
or if you spilled
knit.
something on it when you're knitting, or you know.
But most of the time, it's not like it's been lived in yet.
So water can be okay.
Water can be fine, and most people might add something because wet wool smells like wet sheet. So they might want something to just...
If it's a present for someone, you might want it to smell nice, that kind of thing. It's not like felting where that soap, that is going to help.
Yeah.
Drastically help it block. It's not. But if you technically want to wash it, then yes. So thoughts about, like, I think woolite, I've even heard woolite for hand washing is really not that great. Even if it's not a hand knit, it's harsher chemicals than you might realize. If you don't have wool wash and you really feel like you need to put something in there, I would use the littlest bit of like machine detergent, like Tide or something, over Dawn or over some other things that you could use. Now the
conditioner.
The baby shampoo or conditioner, like, I have not dealt with very much to know how that could be beneficial or not. So I don't want to make claims that will be refuted later because I don't know what I'm talking about. I've
put conditioner in partly because, shout out to Kathleen, my spinning guru teacher. She puts us when she's setting the yarn, and you basically, it's the same process as blocking.
And I mean, she means setting yarn when you're dyeing it, correct?
No,
or spinning it.
Once you've spun it.
This is why I'm asking the question, because you say setting yarn, and I have no idea what you're talking about.
Sorry.
And no, it's okay. I can make guesses, which I just did, and she clarified. People at home would be like, huh?
So
some people at home will be like,
once you spin and ply it, you want to set it kind of like, it's the same thing with blocking
but it's for spinning.
But it's for spinning.
Okay.
And Kathleen always says, just put a little squirt of conditioner in there. It helps soften, but
it's like you don't giving always your have massage.
Yeah, you don't always have to rinse out a conditioner, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I don't get all the conditioner out of my hair, I'm not freaking out.
Yeah.
So, but the baby shampoo, I mean, it's gentler, and it's a cleanser. So in theory, I guess that sounds good. You don't necessarily need to clean your recently knitted item for blocking purposes, though. If you feel like you want it to be fresher when you're gifting it to someone, or you want it to smell nicer, awesome. But I wouldn't use anything that it has on it like, hey, this is great for getting stains out, and this is great for, because that means there's a lot of harsh chemicals in it.
Yeah.
Like Dawn is like, here are the other things you can clean with Dawn, like the engine of your car. Not quite, but like, I wouldn't personally. I think that might remove some color from some things, like unintentionally. I don't think it's going to be like throwing bleach on something. But I think you may not be as happy with the result. You may lose some of the feel. Like sometimes blocking is going to change the feel of your hand knit anyway. Like sometimes garter isn't as squishy anymore, and sometimes the fibers kind of flatten. And some of that is maybe from being pulled too hard or spread out too much or being too waterlogged when it's laid out to dry. We talked about that in other episodes, and some of that's just what's going to happen. If it's going to happen when an item is washed, it's going to happen.
Sometimes it gets softer, depending on the spinning process.
Sometimes depending on the fiber. Like linen gets softer with wear and wash and things. Whereas some of the squishiness of merino and other things may feel a little less spongy and full after you wash it or block it or something like that. But so it depends on what you want out of the piece when you're done. And sometimes that is unpredictable until you do it, which is one of the reasons some people will block their swatches, because then you know what's going to happen with your yarn when you block your finished piece. I always say the danger with that is when you block your swatch, unless you're blocking it exactly how you're going to block your knitted, your finished item, it's not a good indicator of stitch count or what's going to happen. Like if you take your swatch and you stretch it when you block it and pin it and you're not planning on doing that with your finished sweater, it's not going to work for you. So I know people who will either take their swatch or something else, and they will actually hang it up with weights hanging off of it to replicate what will happen with a larger piece of the of knitting. Like a little swatch like this isn't going to behave over time like a big piece with weight, like the weight of the piece hanging.
Even my cropped sweaters block a little bit different than your bigger sweaters. Mm-hmm. I mean, you get wool wet and it gets heavy, like, you know. So, even...
To be really careful with how you spread it out and stuff.
Yeah.
But, a caveat to all of this, I do not block my swatches. I take my chances. I in some ways, it's like, well, if I never get around to blocking my sweater, I know this will work because I didn't block my swatch. And, but stuff like I blocked this sweater, and it helped the stitches lie a little more even and not be, like, Fair Isle can have puffy puckers, especially if you're new to it, like stranded color work, that can settle with some blocking. The first thing I ever knit Fair Isle or stranded it looked horrible when I was done, and I was like, I'm not gonna wear this. I blocked it and everything looked nice. So there's a lot of like pros and cons and ins and outs, and you know. Nothing is guaranteed, but there's some helpful hints.
I know you said block it the same way, but if you're going to wet block your sweater, wet block your swatch. If you're going to steam your sweater, steam your swatch. Yeah, like...
Even block it the same way that you're going to... don't steam your swatch and then wet block your sweater and say, why didn't this work? Because we will have very little sympathy for that. We'll say, well... If you're going to block it, you block your swatch, you want to block it the same way you're going to block your sweater, because the blocking techniques will come out completely different results. So yeah. Anyway, I hope that addressed the questions. It's just so weird to be filming and saying, "Hey, we have knit night tonight."
We do,
because we're filming on a Friday, and then we have the Light Up the Night Christmas parade event tomorrow in town, so it's gonna be a long couple of days for us. You know, pray for us. But if you want to join us for knit night tonight, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern time, get in with a shop phone number
828-877-3550.
And our Sunday sit and stitch is not for another week or so. So it's not this Sunday, but it's the next Sunday, which means like the month is flying by. If you don't mind, can you show everyone your Christmas dress today? Because we didn't do that on Wednesday. We've been. Liz is going to be wearing Christmas dresses all the way to Christmas.
This is my oldest Christmas dress.
It's pretty though. It's not like traditional Christmas colors. Mm-mm. It's like blue and green, and I really like it. I think it's super.
There's
pretty.
Some browns in there. It's
my sweater
favorite.
Kind of goes with your dress. Look at that.
Does.
That was unintentional. So
it's my favorite, and I have never been able to find the same colors again. Like, I would love to have another dress in these colors, and no.
Well,
so
it's pretty.
I keep chasing these colors and can't, you know.
That's me.
That's
miming you chasing colors. Anyway, so we have to go open the shop and hope for the best. You know, Send us some positive vibes for what could or may not happen today. And we will see you next week. We will film on Tuesday again. So next Thursday, again, I have a dermatologist appointment. I'm just going to all these doctors now, which is a good thing in the long run, right? So we won't, heads up, we won't be filming next Thursday, but we'll try to do something like this where we film on Friday. So y'all don't go through too much withdrawal or get worried that something happened to us.
This was an unplanned thing.
This was yesterday I was even thinking once I got back, maybe we should film something, and then time got away from us because the day, as it happens, you know. So we will see y'all next week. Proof of life, hi. And have a good day. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.